Good evening.
Good evening, sister. How are you?
I'm good. How's
That's
everybody
good.
doing? How's everybody doing
Yes.
on tonight? We're back,
See our
y'all.
people.
Good
Our
evening,
people coming
everyone.
in.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We're so glad to be back with y'all tonight.
Yes.
It's so awesome to just join in on conversation about issues of life. Yes. So y'all already know I need y'all to show us some love with those hearts, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And in the comments for tonight, I would love for you to put in the comment who or what is keeping you in the midst of chaos. Who or what is keeping you in the midst of chaos? Um, I had to put who or what because we don't know what people do. We don't know,
That's true.
what people have and what people use or what type of coping skills that people have. So I had to put who or what. So who or what is keeping you in the midst of this chaos? Because as you know, the world is in chaos. So, and some of us may be going through some things as well. So I'm gonna put in the comment who is my keeper. So y'all will know who is my keeper. Alicia, you putting in the comments who is your keeper?
Oh yeah. I put in what's keeping me right now.
Yes.
Like literally the two things I put there is what's
Mm,
keeping me.
yes, Lord. I have many outlets. It's good to have a lot of outlets,
Yeah.
but it's only one that tops them all.
It's one
One.
that should be a mandatory on the list. Top.
Exactly. Exactly.
you
Oh, I
know.
see you. I see you put music on yours,
Yes,
girl.
I have been in a mood. Let me tell you something about music, and I can't speak for everyone. I told you a long time ago, um, my dad was really traditional. Not in a bad way, like overbearing traditional. He was just an older man traditional. So he loved quartet music. So I missed out on the era of when the Winans hit, when Commission hit, and Fred first came out as a solo artist, and even Marvin Sapp. Like that whole era, I heard bits and pieces throughout my years, but I wasn't a part of the move because I was my daddy's child. He listened to quartet. Okay, I listened to quartet. Daddy's girl. 20 some years later, like that era is resonating so powerfully in my life right now. Like
Mm,
I seem to only be listening to Commission. Anybody that know that era, the Winans, Fred
yeah.
Hammond, his earlier stuff. I'm like, and it is getting me
Yeah.
through this
Okay.
pandemic and now this shift with this chaos in our states in the country. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. So between Jesus and that era,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
I'm good. Exactly. Because music can be very therapeutic.
it can. It can.
Um, very. So we have some people in here who says that
Yes.
God is keeping me, Miss Candice. How you doing, Miss Candice?
Yes.
So glad to have
My
you on here this
sister.
evening. And Keandre says, God and the issues of life talk form.
Well, we are definitely glad we can be a blessing to somebody.
Bless you, Lord. Bless you. And Candace also said exercising. Miss Elisa says Jesus is her keeper. How you
yes.
doing, Miss Elisa? And uh, Kendra, I didn't even know you golf.
ah, girl, his hidden talents.
I did not know you golf, Kendra. But whatever or whoever that you have to keep you in the midst of chaos, please continue to do so because
right.
it is
Absolutely.
getting absolutely troubling in the in the world. It really is. But I'm not gonna prolong the time. I'm gonna go ahead on and jump put our speaker on for tonight because we got a
Yes.
good topic for tonight about staying sane in the midst of chaos, y'all.
Yes.
About staying sane. I could have put some other words besides sane, but I decided to use this term because
I think
uh
that's real.
yeah, it's more relatable,
Right.
to what we are going through right now in the world today. So we have a guest, Miss Santi Isaiah. So we're gonna bring her on.
Yes.
Y'all can give a
Hey,
hand clap praise in y'all
Santi.
comments. Give an applause in y'all comments, y'all. Welcoming Miss Santi Isaiah. We're so glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
Talking about, yes, talking about staying sane in the midst of chaos, because
Yes.
it is a maintenance. It's something that you have to keep doing over and over, because we just don't know what's going to go on next week or the
Wow.
week after or next month. But we got to stay sane, y'all. We got to stay grounded in what we believe in,
Yes.
what we you
Right.
know hoping and praying for. hmm Because I'm hearing an echo.
I heard that too.
Did you hear an echo?
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you hear an echo, Santee?
A
I
little
gotta
bit.
make sure. Oh, you said a little bit.
A little
So
bit.
it seemed like we're about to have some technical difficulties, but when I
Mm-mm.
hear it
We
again,
buying that.
We
come on,
have
girl, I know, I know. Keandra, he always has to pop up with a question. How do you keep it together when things are falling apart? Yes, that's what we're talking
Mm.
about tonight.
You right
Keeping it
there with her.
together when things are falling apart. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. So, ladies and gentlemen who are on this platform, I don't know if y'all remember the Serenity Prayer. Let me see if I can show it.
Yep, that's right there.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I don't know if anybody ever said this prayer, but it is a good prayer to pray and ask the Lord for when things are happening around you that you just don't have any control over.
Yeah.
Even in your own life. Now, we aren't
right.
just talking about the world, chaos into the world. We're also talking about our own environment, our own homes,
Yeah.
our own situations and circumstances that we are going through personally. We got to have the courage to understand that there's only one thing that I have control over, and that is me, how the way I react
True.
to things. Basically, the most important thing. I
Right.
don't have any control over what anybody else do. But
That's
I
so
just,
true.
but I gotta ask this question: why do we get it in our head like we are supposed to have control over people? Like I mean, we act like it. We expect it. We expect people to know what to do, to know better to do. That we expect people to know better, but hey, some people may not know better.
That's true.
This is true.
Why? I mean, why? Why do we do that? I mean, we automatically assume the person should know what to do or how to act. But we don't know where they came from. We don't know how they were raised.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But we still expecting them to not behave the way that they do or not do the things that we feel like that we don't approve of.
So I would have to say I've had this conversation with my mom on several occasions,
Mm.
and I have had to tell her, everyone wasn't raised like me, everyone wasn't raised like you. And so I think we have to understand that people come from different backgrounds, walks of life. And when I think about that, also, I think about past trauma. What has occurred in their life before they met me, before this season, and to understand, everyone is not like Santee. And we feel like we have to control everybody around us, and we don't. So one of the things that I'm learning through this pause is I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have
Right.
to answer every question. And I just don't know. I'm in this space, and I think it's going on 12 weeks that I've been home, and I'm like, I don't have the answers. And
Mhm.
it's okay that I don't need to search for the answer. If the answer comes, fantastic. But so often we feel like we need to be in this space where we need to control people, control the things that are around us. And this week I was on a self-care conference, and we talked about the inner critic, and that is two things,
Mm.
everything is going well, fantastic, great, or either everything is going completely wrong. And like Felicia was saying earlier, I felt like this is how this week was going for me. It started off well, and then all of a sudden things
Mhm.
left. And I'm like, okay, everything is going wrong. Things are falling apart. People are expressing their feelings. I am emotionally drained, but I cannot control how people are feeling. And
Right.
so we're in the midst of chaos. We have to understand we're all fighting fear, anxiety, depression, anger. We are emotionally drained. We is tired, not tired. We is
Say
tired.
that.
And so we really have to understand that everyone didn't come from where you come from. And this past trauma that we are experiencing is something that we are experiencing on a collective level. And so we're
Exactly.
having to navigate that. And we can't control, but we can control where we are and who we are and what we're doing. And so I really think, having those conversations about healthy dialogue, where people come from, understanding them, understanding their background is so important.
Exactly. Because everybody do
Right.
have a different background, even us three. We
Right.
may believe the same thing, but your childhood is totally different than mine. My parents are totally different than your parents. Your parents may have not taught you any manners. My parents may have taught me some manners. I mean, it's different things. It's where you have to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You have to be respectful. You have to respect authority. I mean, it's so many different levels of how the way people have been raised. So many things that we can discuss and say that hey, we don't believe in this or we don't believe in doing that. That's where it starts at in the home. But we gotta be mindful that everybody home ain't the same as mine. You know, and people are going to do what they already know to do. Some people can only do what they know to do. And then there's some people who should know better, but who am I to say that you should know better? I don't know what you. I really don't know. I really don't know unless I sit
Right.
down and have a conversation with you, and be asking you questions about your life, your values, your beliefs, But this thing that's going on in the world today, we really don't have any control. Just like the man who put his knee in the on the neck of George Floyd, we had no control over what he was doing.
Right.
Even the people was pleading with him. He still had a choice. I will admit that. I will admit that because he still had a decision that he could have made, but he decided to do what he wanted to do. So just like we always talk about doing our with Bible lessons, especially the ones that I do, plus with my kids, you are going to have to suffer the consequences for every decision that you make,
That's right.
for
Good
every
or bad.
good or bad.
That's
It's,
right.
it's going to be a consequence behind it. It's just a cause and effect. So whatever you do, be mindful of what you do and also in what you say because it
Right.
is going to be consequences behind it.
And
But
I taught my daughter that. I said, and then along with that, you don't get to choose your consequences.
you sure don't, girl.
You
That's
don't
a
get no
Right.
good
choice.
nugget.
You don't get to
Mm,
have a voice in your consequences. Now, how
that's a
about
good
that?
nugget. Say it again, Felicia, for the
You
folks in
don't
the
get to
back.
have a voice in your consequences.
You don't. You really don't. I mean, Adam and Eve didn't have no voice in their
No.
consequences. Cain didn't have no voice in his consequences when he decided to kill his brother, even though he was angry. I mean, and even us, growing up, if I did something wrong, whatever my mama said that I had to do for my punishment or for suffering the consequences, I had to sit up there and suck it up and just
Right.
deal with it, even though I didn't
Oh
like it.
God.
Oh, baby, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't like it. I sure didn't. I mean, but what consequence is very comfortable when you think about it? That's why it's called suffer the consequences.
That is so true.
Well, it's set up for a reason, but even in that, we do have to be mindful. I'm gonna get some of these comments up on here for a minute. And Cassandra said that fear is a reaction and courage is a decision. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like
That's a
that.
good
I
nugget
like
there because a lot of people don't know that fear and courage is two different reactions. One is a decision, most definitely. God don't control people, so why do people think they can control people? Amen. I mean, God most definitely can't control people.
Yep. Free will.
Mm-mm. He also said, understand the reason more than focusing on the problem.
That's a good comment he made because
yeah.
that ties into what you said, Santee, about dialogue. And I think a lot of that is missing. And it's not about, dialogue in the sense of both sides are being heard. Because there's two sides to it. You
Right.
got the more, laid back people, how they want to handle it, strategize things of this nature. Then you have the side where it's like, I'm done talking, I'm tired, we've done it
Right.
before, it didn't happen, let's take action. The problem is that the action is not so healthy. The action is not so sustainable for us.
Hmm.
We need true sustainable change, not just temporal. And right now, we're seeing the results of temporal change. But I think there needs to be some dialogue where we understand the reason why that
Yeah.
side feels so angry. They are coming up in a different generation. They're coming up in a different time. Things are vastly different than what it was of our parents and our grandparents. Totally different time, and they handle things totally different. So I think both sides coming together, having open ears to hear, listen to understand. And before we try to get a problem solved, let's just understand one another first. Because in the end, truthfully, the only way we're gonna all get through this, we're gonna have to come together. We're gonna have to work together. We're gonna have to put our beliefs to the side. We're gonna have to put
Mhm.
our thoughts to the side. We're gonna have to put our wills to the side. We're gonna have to put our control to the side. And we're gonna have to come together as a unit to
Right.
make a bigger impact. In the end, that's what it's gonna have to be.
And that makes me think of a quote that was said earlier this week. It was spirit speaks in whispers, and if you don't listen, the spirit speaks in hammers. And
Mm,
you
Mm.
know, we're in the midst of chaos right now. Like I
that's
feel
right.
and I was on a call earlier on a Zoom call with one of my sisters, and I was just listening to her. We had a breakout session just to talk about mental health, being in the midst of chaos. What does that mean for us? Like
Right.
we are continuously feeding into different spaces of what's going on, and
True.
it's like the spirit was speaking, whispering, and now it's hammered and people are upset. They are mad. So it's how do
Yeah.
you navigate being in the midst of chaos? What does that mean? I think for us, like you said, Felicia and Tyra, we don't have to be in control to understand that there is chaos right now.
That's
We
correct.
all
Yep.
need to be working together collectively in these spaces to understand how can we beat that problem? How can we be the solution? And
Right.
so often we want to make, temporary solutions, but like you said, we need to be sustainable at this time. What is going to help us collectively move forward? Can
Right.
Tyra help me coming up this week? Can Felicia help me the next week? We
Right.
have to be together and, be collective with this. Of course, there are
Yep.
boundaries, but at some point we're going to have to start working together because this chaos may continue and we may not ever get on one accord
Right.
just going throughout
Mm-mm.
life. And if there was already tension, in the community that we're already in, here's another piece of tension with a senseless murder. Well, here's another piece of tension that's coming up. We having an election. Well, there's another piece of tension that may just keep going and going and going.
Right.
So like you said,
Yeah.
at some point, we're going to have to be collective throughout this midst of chaos and healthy dialogue. There was at one point in
Exactly.
my life, I wanted to be in control of everything. Can't lie. I want to control this. I want to have my hands in this. I want to do this. And God really had to sit me down and say, Santee, that's not your place. It's enough room for everybody to do the work. Let them do the
Yep.
work with you. So
There
for
it is.
that really
Yep.
goes back to what you were saying.
Yep.
We got to
Yeah.
start working together at
Right.
some point in the midst of all this chaos. In order for us all to be sane, we got to.
Right. To me, it mirrors the church because the church has always been in this battle in the last decade or 2 decades or so, where it's like the old against the young, the old against the new school. But I see that with what we have going on now with the chaos, the old against the young. We
Mhm.
have the more, vibrant, more, just a younger generation, totally different mindset, totally different influences now than
Yeah.
what we had, and again, our grandparents and parents. And
Mhm.
so it's like this battle against, but we don't realize we all need one another. Just like with the church, the
Exactly.
old need the young and the young need the old. And we the same way when we look at it from a world standpoint and
Absolutely.
from, social issues, we actually do need each other. I know maybe the method that worked back then probably won't work right now, but there
Yeah.
was something that they had that is missing from right now, because I think right now there's no true leader. There's no true leader. Everybody's just free will and doing their
Exactly.
own thing. But see, back then somebody had to be willing to take the lead, but then all with that, others had to be willing to
Yeah,
follow.
follow.
And there's too many
Mhm.
chiefs and not enough Indians most
Come
times.
on
And
now.
no, and so you get into this battle. Nobody want to follow. Everybody want to lead, but everybody ain't called to
Everybody
lead.
want to
Let's just
leave.
You
call
know
it like
what?
that.
Felicia, you said a great thing. What we have to understand, even as leaders, we must be willing to follow. Leaders must be willing
Yes.
to get their hands dirty, even in
Amen.
the midst of the chaos. So
Yes.
we look at who's stepping up. We look at, as Tyra said, who's speaking out and speaking up on Facebook. What does that look like? Are you taking it from social media to the streets? What is going to change? What is going on around us? Chaos
Mhm.
is real, and
It
people
is.
are really emotionally drained. I think I experienced more than 3 or 4 emotions this week. I've been angry,
I
Exactly.
agree.
I've been confused, I've been upset, I have cried. I did
That's
yoga on
fine.
Friday,
Mhm.
and it was a space just for Black people. And I mean, it was just something that I needed. I needed to cry out about things that were going on. And
Mhm.
Felicia, you hit it on the nail, but our leadership has to also be vulnerable in order for us
Yes.
to
Say
be,
that.
in order for
Exactly.
us to be where we need to be in the long run. I need you to be vulnerable. I need you to say, Santee, look, it's chaotic. I don't
Yes.
know all the
I
answers.
need to see your heart.
I need to
Exactly.
see you. How is your soul? How is your
Yes. Yes.
And if you can't be vulnerable with me, how do you think I'm going to feel about be vulnerable with you? So
Mhm.
chaos is a totally different word that has all these
It has
emotions.
shifted. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It has shifted. It has really
Yeah.
shifted. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I was like, okay, Lord, last week I was okay, I was just breathing, going through the week. I'm okay. I'm in
Oh goodness.
sunshine. I'm just listening, folks. I'm calling people. I'm checking in
Mhm.
with people. I'm just, just any little day. But then Monday come, then Tuesday come.
Ooh.
It's just, it just heightened. It just got intense as the day went by, and I was like, "Oh my Lord, they burning up the police precinct! Oh God!"
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people couldn't look at the video, but knowing me, I have to see the video. I'm a
I'm
visual
too
person.
curious. I got to see it.
I gotta see it. So I saw the whole thing, and then I was like, "Oh God." this man called out for his mama, and me being a mother, have 3 boys, and I
Yeah.
have a husband. I'm just like, I was. It was mixed emotion, just like Santee from Monday to
Mhm.
now. I still have mixed emotion even now as I speak,
Right.
but I allow God to come in and help me deal with it so that I'm able to have a conversation with people, because
Right.
I do have to put my emotions in check when I'm interacting with people. It's my decision. I decided to not act a fool, like my mama loved to say. Don't be out there acting a fool, embarrassing me. You know you reflect me. You know what I'm saying?
Reflective.
So
Yep.
I mean, for those that know, those type of mamas, you know what I'm saying. So we was raised that way that we don't act a fool.
Yeah.
We don't put our emotions out there like that. But as I got older, I also had to understand that I have to talk about my emotions.
Yes.
I have to have someone to talk to process what is going on with me, because if I don't, then my emotions become something else.
Right.
Well, because a lot of people don't believe that it begins with a thought. It begins with your thoughts first, and then
That's
it
right.
becomes
It's a seed.
emotion.
Right.
Exactly. And then it becomes, you started acting on it. You start acting on the feelings that's going on with you.
Right.
So you do want to be able to talk those things out. That was one of our points, unfortunately, to talk to someone and be transparent and honest about your emotions, because that's what Santee was talking about. We need leaders to be vulnerable. We need leaders to be transparent. The mayor in Atlanta, when she got on TV, she was transparent.
She
Very.
was. I
She
seen her.
was,
I'm like,
but she
wow.
still was being a leader. You see what I'm
That's right.
saying? She was letting us know that she's human and also the leader at the same time by
Right.
being transparent and asking people to go home, because all they were doing was disgracing the CNN center, and doing all those things to their own
Yeah.
community. So, we need to see that. We need to see that type of reaction on TV, because that let me know that you respect us as humans. Because I have to admit, the video made me feel like the judge did not get respected as a human being.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the least you could do is just treat him as a human.
Right.
That's it. You
Yeah.
ain't gotta like him.
Yeah.
You
And
ain't
especially
gotta.
when you started seeing additional videos from the buildings around there and start seeing other stuff that they were doing, like,
Mhm.
actually boxing him when he was sitting in the back of the police car. When you start seeing that on top of, the knee on the neck, it's like, whoa,
Right.
whoa. Like you treated him like he was an animal.
And
Exactly.
Tyra, when you had reached out earlier this week, I was like, yeah, sure. And it seemed like things just spiraled on down. It was like full of joy, and then it went straight to confusion. I'm
Mm,
like, whew,
Exactly.
okay, we need to breathe in something good, clarity, or something so we
Exactly.
can breathe out all this confusion of just things that's going on. And it's been a tough week for us, y'all. It's been, and it ain't over. I think that's the biggest
it
thing
ain't
for us
over.
to kind of wrap our head around is it is not over. So we
Huh.
really got to continue to have these spaces to have conversations, and not just only a safe space. I mean a brave space where you can be vulnerable, say what you need to say that, and be fine with not being okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not okay right
Yeah.
now. I think
Yep.
Candace said, "You look cute." I'm like, "Thanks," but you know, I am not okay, and I feel like we are going to be in a waiting season. And when
Mhm.
Tyra had reached out, I'm like, "This is definitely going to be a waiting season," and we're going to experience more chaos. It's going to be dry. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hurtful.
You're
This
right.
walk that we are about to experience is going to cause us to do more than just step out on faith. We are going to have to
Exactly.
take some action and move things forward. And it's going to have to be collectively. And we're going to have to
Exactly.
have these spaces where people can have conversations, continue to have dialogue. And, I feel like,
Right.
Felicia, I have to get your number now. But I feel like I can reach out to Tyra. I feel like I can have that conversation and text her and say, I am not okay.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
debrief right now. I need to,
Exactly.
I need to kind of do a digital detox. And I know I have plans to do that for the month of June, just taking a break because it is going to be a lot of things that we will continue to see online as far as in the
Yeah.
news, things that are said. So we really have to be mindful of even what we're seeing, y'all, because it's going to
Yeah.
take us to kind
You're
of
right.
debrief from that.
You're so
Exactly.
right. And I have to piggyback on what you were saying, Santee, with just being honest and transparent. And that's why I love this platform that my sister has put
Yeah.
together and allowed me to be a part of because it creates a platform of transparency. And I will say that her and I are as transparent as we possibly can be because I want people to know, yeah, we're coming on every evening on Sunday and we're doing this talk forum, but we're going through just as well as you. We're just pushing. We're just pushing through it. That's all it is. Doesn't mean when we get off of here, we won't be crying. We might see some or hear some, and we might not be down again,
Mhm.
but we are choosing to push through in spite of. And
Mm-hmm.
earlier today, like this morning, all day today, after I came from church, I just really had this good spirit on me. Like, man, I feel good. And I have to be honest, it just wasn't about church. It was just like this
Mhm.
joy was sitting on me. And I was all for it. I'm like, hey, thank you, Lord. I'm not mad.
What?
I'm not
Right.
questioning it or anything. Got home, still felt the same. But it was as I got on Facebook and started scrolling and started seeing some posts. I'm like, what has happened through the day? Because I wasn't on during the morning or anything. So I'm like,
Mhm.
what did I miss? What has happened?
You have to
Kept
catch
it,
up, literally.
yeah, like, let me catch up and see what's going on.
Right.
Then I come across a video, Tyra, which I shared with you, of this young man and this older guy and this teenager talking, and it just broke me. Whatever joy that I had went out the door because that
Mhm.
video just weighed on me so heavy because it was so real and honest.
Mm-hmm.
And to see three men in a very vulnerable position like that and
Yes.
was okay with being vulnerable,
It
but to
was
see the
okay.
pain, you could see and hear the pain. And so that just really broke me. And so I just sat up on the side of the bed for probably an hour, was just in tears, and I couldn't stop. And I was just like, Lord, what are we going to do? What are we? And I was just crying out to God, asking him. And this is a few hours before we got on the air. I'm just like, oh God, it's just like whatever I had early, it was gone.
Mhm.
But when we go back to what one of my things are that keeps me, sane in the chaos, music. I don't know if you
Yes.
guys are familiar. I think you are, Tyra, but with the Instagram battles now with all these artists,
Yeah.
with Beats and Timberland. Well, anyway, they had a gospel one today. Fred Hammond and
And Kirk
Kurt
Franklin.
Franklin. And so
Mhm.
I looked at that. And when I tell you, for me, and I could tell just with the comments on there, that was what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
It was what we needed. It was what we needed. It was what the world needed. And what was so powerful to me, it wasn't like their biggest verse of battle that they had, because it really wasn't a battle anyway. They
Right.
didn't promote it like that. Um, I noticed at the highest, it was like 275,000 people on that feed. And all I
Mhm.
kept saying was, thank you, Lord, because 275,000 people are hearing your name declared, Jesus, in the over the
Yeah.
airwaves. 275 people are hearing your name praised, glorified, worship through those songs and through those two artists. And I
Mhm.
loved it because they had it set up great. They had all these guests. Tamala Mann was there. Bishop T.D. Jakes was there. Like, it was just a totally different atmosphere. But
Yeah.
because of that, it just lifted me because I started singing those songs. Some was old,
Mm-hmm.
some was new. I started
Mhm.
thinking of the lyrics and what it really
Yes.
meant. And
Right.
when they wrote that and what they was telling us, I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, we gonna be all right. We are blessed
Right.
in the city. We are blessed in the
Amen.
field. Just
Yes.
listening to all those lyrics, and that truly was like my strengthening moment when
Mhm.
I looked at that entire verse. And I mean, I looked at it to the end and I said, thank you, Lord. This is what I
Yes.
needed in this hour. And this is what we all needed.
Amen.
It was what we all
Amen.
needed. And I didn't look at it as a black community thing. I looked at it as global. The world needed this.
Exactly.
And I was just about to say that, Felicia, that makes me think, how you experienced joy and then you got to Facebook and you didn't. Ooh, but let me tell you, one thing that we got to do is it is so important. You got to create and protect your energy. That is
Yes.
so important. And to the
Amen.
point where the first thing I did in the morning is check my phone. I
Right.
only will tell you. Santee's phone is across the room and it goes on do not disturb at 8 p.m. Apparently, whatever it's 8,
Yes, it is.
it it is on do not disturb and it goes off at 8 a.m. And it really helps you if you create the
Yeah.
energy when you walk in the room. You create the energy when you walk, when you
Amen.
get up in the morning and you protect that energy. I got a couple of text messages and my friends and family know how I am. And I'm very passionate about things that's going on across the world. I really am. But, I just had to tell people I didn't watch the video. You
Right.
know, I didn't see that on Facebook. No, I haven't watched the news yet. And so I'm creating and protecting that energy that I have.
Yes.
You
And
have to do
boundaries.
that in the midst of all this chaos. And boundaries are
Yeah.
so important.
Right.
There are times that I say, well, I put my phone on, I put my apps on a time limit. That 1 hour, once it's up, I'm not gonna go through and say, skip the limit or do whatever because it takes too much time. I ain't gonna worry about it. I got my hour in the day or whatever that looks like. But you really have
Yeah.
to continue to do things that uplift you. Journaling, what does that look like for you? Music, listening to that. And I really think we needed that uplift at this time. We needed to hear that. We needed to know that we're
Yeah.
blessed in the city. We needed to know that because
Yeah.
the things that are going on in this chaotic time is really tearing us down and we're experiencing so many emotions.
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I tell you,
Oh,
Pandora has been rocking me to sleep the last 3 nights. Because I keep my phone on for emergency reasons.
right.
And so I'm like, you know what? I normally never have problems sleeping at night. But I'm like, I just don't want to go to sleep with that energy on me. I don't want to go to sleep sad.
exactly.
So I turned to my station. I forgot I got quite a few stations anyway. I turned to one of my good stations that, like, it was so funny. One came on the other night, and I was like, "No, I don't want to get turned up tonight." And it was my Molly music station, so
Right.
I didn't want to hear all that tonight. I needed to be in God's presence,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
in a different way. And so I was like,
Exactly.
"Nope, let me change that station." Molly, I love you, but not tonight.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Felicia, you need to know what you need at that moment. I feel like
Right.
we go through life and we're not even vulnerable with ourselves to understand what we need. Do we need boundaries? Do we need
Mhm.
journaling at this moment? Do I need to pick up the phone and call a friend? Do I need to talk
Right.
to my therapist at
Yeah.
this moment and I
Come
can't
on now.
to my scheduled appointment? Do I need to limit social media? And so in the midst
Right.
of chaos, you have to jot down at least 5 to 10 things of what you need. You need to know
Mhm.
what you need in the midst of any chaos that is going on.
Exactly.
Because if you can't solve the problem that you have within yourself, it's going to be really hard to do that going into the
Exactly.
So
collective.
true.
So you have to find
Exactly.
out what works for you.
Exactly. But you have to be in a position to be willing to be honest with yourself because a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't like to do the inside work, the inner work. But that's where it starts. It starts with you first on the inside. I mean, because Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart with all that you do diligently, because out of it flows the issues of life." So you have to check in with yourself on a daily basis, and sometimes more than once throughout the day. you know, because things do happen. Just like Felicia said, she was joyful, and as soon as she, pull up her
Start
phone and
scrolling.
down,
Start scrolling.
you was in another moment.
Ah.
Different moments happen throughout the day, so we have to be willing to put ourselves in a position to be
Mhm.
transparent and vulnerable. It's okay. And I mean, I know we said that so many times, but
Right.
it's so important for us to be transparent. It's so important for us to be vulnerable. Yes,
Yeah.
our mamas or our aunties or our grandmama and TT and all of them told us that we supposed to suck it up and be
You
strong.
strong.
Yeah, be
Hmm.
strong. And I better not see no tears. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
generational thing. But we're in a
Hmm.
different times now where we are in a different decade now, and we're not back in those times.
Right.
We are in 2020, and people need to be able to see
Yes.
vulnerability, especially
Exactly.
our younger generation, because as
Yes.
you can see, it's younger generation that I see on the news who are doing those things on, during the protest.
And
Yeah.
Now,
you know what? I'm glad you said that, Tyra, because you have to also ask yourself, not only just creating and protecting your energy, but you got to ask yourself, do I have the capacity right now?
Mm.
yeah,
Do I have
That's
the
good.
capacity to deal with this right now? We have become a very immediate, microwavable society. We want to boom, like, I want this done in 30 seconds. But you really have to
hmm
understand, do you have the capacity right now? Like, do I have the collective capacity, around me and within me to do the things that needs to be done? And it goes back to you saying
Right.
earlier, control. I cannot control everything around me. I cannot. There are some things that man can do, and then there are things that there are things God can do all things. So you have to understand
exactly.
possible for you in this very moment. And then you also have to understand to let God do the impossible. And so I
Yes.
know where we are, it's difficult. I know people are like, I'm tired. We've been waiting for this. Things been happening. I'm
Mhm.
angry, but you really have to understand. And I'm gonna be honest, transparency moment. I don't have the capacity right now.
Exactly.
I
And
don't.
that's fair.
And you know
I'm
what?
emotionally
I'm
drained.
glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that because I see the comments and the posts on Facebook where they saying let's do this, let's do that. They're trying to draw in people to make some changes or do some things to help this community be better or whatever. And as I'm reading it, I'm saying to myself, and I was just being honest. I was being honest with God, and I was like, Lord, that ain't my cup of tea. And that's exactly what I said. I mean, I
Ah,
said that to myself. I was like,
Right.
this is not my cup of tea. And then at the same time, I also was being honest with myself that I'm not in the mood right now. You know how we love to say, I'm not in the mood right now.
that's
Ain't nobody
true.
got time for that. You know what I'm saying? That's what type of mood I was in. I was like, I ain't got time for that. And I just scrolled on by because I was like, Lord, I don't have anything to give at this moment. Because number one, I'm dealing with a pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a pandemic, all right? Then number two, I got kids in the house. I got kids in the house that I'm trying to take care of. Then number three, I mean, I don't have a full time job at this time. I don't have money to go whipping and running. I mean, it was just so many things that I was lining up on the paper,
Right.
and I was like, okay, what I need to do is pray
Right. And you
because
know what,
I
Tyra?
mean,
We have to give each other space to be vulnerable enough to say, Santee, I don't have the capacity right now. Santee, I can't do that.
yeah, it's
And it's
okay to say
not
no.
excuses, it's that you don't have the capacity. And I also look at it, Tyra and Felicia, when you have been working, and I made a status earlier this morning. I show up wherever I go, Santee,
Yeah,
my authentic self. And so when there are things that I don't agree with, I do speak up. When there are things that are concerning me, but I need you to show up when it's not a protest. I made that as my status. I need
True.
you to show up when it's not looting and rioting. I need you to show up because we experience, as
yeah.
women of color, we
That's
experience a
good.
lot of chaos already. So our
Just
lives
living.
have been chaotic.
Come on.
And sometimes I'm just like, all right, God, thank you for the pause in this moment. Thank you, because I need it. And so at this moment, I don't have the capacity for everything. I have my limitations on certain things. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. And people that are close to me, they know that too. But I cannot take on everything. And Felicia was talking about it earlier about, past generations, you know, I feel like my mom has been a superwoman. She has done some things. I'm like, woman, how you do that? And so we continue to follow in those footsteps of being superwoman and wanting to do so much for so many people. And I have to understand that there are so many other great women amongst me that can do great things. And I don't always have the capacity to do that. So Tyra, that's okay, honey. It's okay. It is okay not to be your cup of tea, or you have the capacity to do that. And sometimes we have to be okay with it.
Yeah. And I know I said that. I mean, my truth is I ain't built for protesting. Ain't no sense of me lying. I mean, I'm not mentally nor physically built for protesting. And so I'm honest with that. I'm like, put me in the office, I'll type up a correspondence. What you need from me from a clerical standpoint. Put me in the office. That's making the change, because at the end of the day, we got to look at it. I mean, you do need that.
You need
every area touched. So everybody can't be on the street. Somebody got to be fighting behind the scenes.
Right.
And, and I think of the days of Dr. Martin Luther King. Everybody was not walking the street. Everybody wasn't walking the street singing, "We shall overcome." There was somebody in these offices strategizing, planning, coming up with the next step to take. And so that's what we got to understand. Everybody can't be on the street. Everybody can't be with their bullhorn. Everybody, and I'm like you, Tyra, with this pandemic. I'm like, wow, I guess COVID-19 went out the window now, huh? Because they real close. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, see, I'm not built for that. Because the first thing I'm gonna be like, get off of me. Don't touch me. You sweat. Get off of me. And especially here in Arizona, we 110 right now. It's hot here. That COVID and heat. No, I'm good. That's just my truth. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Felicia, I'm glad you said that, because protesting and looting and rioting is like temporary. You're getting people's attention. You really are. But in order for us to get to where we need to be, we got to be very strategic about and looking at that. Are we purposeful of what we're doing and saying? Are we being intentional about the things that are going on around us? Because I'm going to be honest. I mean, I don't know what the month of June is going to look like, and neither do I know what December looks like. And so we may be still experiencing some type of chaos, and it just reminds me of just trauma that we are all experiencing. I'm going to forever think about, we went through a pandemic and how that changed the world completely. And then we went from that to protest, and then we're seeing looting and rioting, and people are hurting and they're upset. And so we got to be strategic about what we're doing at this very moment, so we can be better in the next moment. Because if we're not, we will not get to where we need to be. And so once again, you got to think about, not only do you have the capacity, but I'm looking, even though I'm not utilizing my calendar as much, but it's like, do I need to put that on my calendar for today?
That is so true.
No,
that is so true. So, I mean, I had a conversation with a young lady that, was questioning, not really questioning, but I could tell they were feeling kind of down. And they're young, 22, trying to figure out, should I be out there? And, her blackness is being questioned because she's not out there. But she's like, I have my certain circumstances. I'm sick. I'm this. I really can't even afford to put myself in that type of situation, because as we see, people are getting hurt. You got folks I saw a video where a woman got trampled on by a police officer on a horse in another state. Like it's as they say, it's real in these streets. It's real out there. in these states that are protesting right now. So I totally, I'm like, no, if you know you don't supposed to be there, you don't have to go. And don't
Exactly.
never let nobody question your blackness. They kill me with that anyway. Like, I ain't black because I ain't on the street
Mhm.
protesting. No, no, I am black. I am standing. You actually need me because I'm one of the prayer warriors.
Okay. Come on.
Hello, you actually need me because I'm
Exactly.
interceding on your behalf.
Oh, exactly.
Or
Why
we
you out
are,
there? Hmm.
So don't discount the ones that ain't out there because there's some work that we're doing as well on your behalf. Because with all of the chaos, I
Mhm.
understand. I understand. Because
Right.
again, we go back to I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing this. I'm tired of feeling
Hmm.
it. And I don't know what it is about this time where in
Hmm.
all of the police brutalities, murders, this one hit totally different. It hit
You're right.
me different and it hit us as a people
Hmm.
totally different. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what's behind that, the energy behind, but it just hit differently. So
Hmm.
I understand. I understand it
Mhm.
from all angles. I totally get it. But I also know when it's all said and done, and this is my theory, and this is what I say, when the dust settles in the 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, and we kind of, because it's gonna be something coming up in June, like you said, Santee, but it's gonna settle. It's gonna do like it
Mhm.
always do.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
now we put backed off. Now because now states are going into curfews. My state just issued one about a couple of hours ago, 8 o'clock. Here we are. And so now we're gonna have that moment where things kind of settle down. Now the dust done settled. Now what?
Mhm.
What's the next step?
What's next? Yeah,
Mhm.
What's next? So we
Yep.
gotta have something. And that's where we go back to what we talked about earlier, the dialogue.
absolutely.
Having dialogue, coming up with strategy, listening to one another, taking in each other ideas and thought processes, and respecting one another's opinion.
Exactly.
Mine
Right.
don't have to resemble yours, but at
Mhm.
least respect it.
At
you
least
know,
Absolutely.
respect it.
And when COVID-19 started, they were already putting out in articles that the next wave was going to be mental health. And we think that this is
right?
over. It's people are going to be really experiencing something
Yeah,
different. And we're going to have to shift
Exactly.
our focus on, what's important, what's around us, what are we doing collectively? Because I'm not going to be able to handle everything going forward. We're going to need to be on the front lines together fighting whatever is going on because doctors have already said, this is not going away. We may see something coming up,
It's not.
in the winter months, even with
that's
COVID-19.
right.
So will it still, we're going to be
We just in May.
We
May,
just in May.
May,
Just in
Well,
May.
May,
well, June tomorrow, baby. June
That's
tomorrow.
right. That's
right.
right. But still, it's just June tomorrow. There's a
Right.
whole remainder of the year we still got to get through.
And we have experienced
Exactly.
a lot in these last,
Yeah.
few months, and we really need to think about that. And um, during this time since I've been at home, I've been walking every day, but I've also been journaling, and I've been able to be vulnerable with myself, and say, okay, I'm not okay right now.
That's
And I
right.
can give myself grace and permission to pause.
Exactly.
And if I don't have anything, going on at that moment, it is okay to reflect and meditate and pray. And I
Mhm.
hope someone is praying for me on my
Yes.
because there are some days that I'm not able to do that. Just to be transparent, it's I need
That's
someone
real.
interceding on my behalf because I'm exhausted.
Mhm.
All of us, especially parents, we've had to deal with kids in the home. We've had to balance work. And I'm very
Yes.
because my director, she has told us, she's like, it's okay to give yourself a pause at this moment. And so for
Mhm.
Yeah.
me, my two words have been permission and pause. It's okay. I don't have to be on every Zoom meeting at this time. Not if it's not
Exactly.
important. I'm like, it's not going on right now. So understanding what you need throughout this chaotic time is just important. I cannot
Yeah.
stress that enough because chaos comes and goes, and we have
Mhm.
to understand that. And we have to understand who to lean on, when to
Yeah.
lean on, create and protect that energy that's going on around you, and find
Yeah.
what works for you. You know,
Yeah.
it may not work for everybody and they may not feel comfortable going, but you got to find out what works for you. And you got to find
Exactly.
what's best for you when it comes to your mental health. You
That's
know,
right.
you gotta
Mm-hmm.
find it. If that's digging into music and finding that right playlist, you know,
Yeah.
um, and I'm saying this, but I had like almost 5,000 friends on Facebook, and I just, at that moment I was like, oh, I need to go through and kind of get some people off of my page and so I'm seeing
Okay.
like more positivity on my
That's
timeline.
real.
I'm in more positive groups, and I don't want to just join your group and like your page just to do that. I need
Just to
some
do it.
positivity. So when I get
Yeah,
on,
there's a lot of requests that go out, isn't it?
so
Like another group?
It
No.
is.
yeah, and you have
It is.
out what is so important. I can say, there are some small groups within church, but then there are some small groups within social media that I have joined that have been very uplifting. People are actually talking about things that they are going through and things that they are needing. And you seeing all of us collectively help each other. But like you said, Felicia, what do we want? What are we going to do when this ends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we keep going? It may last for 2 or 3 weeks, and then, everybody happy. It's July 4th. So we about to
Yeah.
throw a barbecue and we're gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
good.
You about to
And
Yeah.
throw them
then
slabs out there?
Exactly.
what are we gonna do after that?
Yeah. Because it's the chaos is like a wave. Like you
It
said,
is.
it's a wave. The
Yeah.
first chaos was the pandemic, and then it kind of went down because when states started opening back up, now people out socializing again, eating at restaurants, dining, doing, living normal
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
And here come the wave again, the heighten of the wave. And here we go. And
Right.
that's what it's gonna be. Just a wave.
A roller coaster.
Yeah. And I know one thing, I'm learning. You better learn how to ride this wave.
Yeah.
Learn
Right.
how to ride the wave.
Exactly. And you know what? We need some wisdom while we're riding this wave.
Woo! Yes.
Because I'm just seeing a lot of people not being wise. And
You're
that's
right.
that's even from the top leader on down. You
Oh,
know what
wow.
I mean? So I mean, people are not being wise at
You're right.
all. It's like the people are only thinking about themselves. But when you are in position, even if you're not in position, especially Christian people, people of God, we have to be mindful of other people. I mean, that is one of the commandments. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
That's right.
But I'm thinking that maybe people are not loving themselves. Maybe people
Yeah.
don't respect themselves. I
Yeah.
mean, because if you did, why would you do that to someone else? You know? But people, we really do gotta have some wisdom. And it's gonna
Yeah.
take the Lord to give us that wisdom. I'm not because I can act like I'm wise. I can be walking around here saying, "Ooh, let me tell you what to do." But no, that may not be what the Holy Spirit is telling you what to do. You see what I'm saying? So
That's right.
we have to lean on the wisdom of God. In
Absolutely.
whatever we do from this point on. I mean, because that's all I've been doing since January of this
Mm,
year. It's just trusting God because that was my
yeah.
main focus of
Hmm.
2020 is to be trusting the Lord because I didn't know what was going to be happening in 2020, but I had a feeling that it was going to be tough because
Mm.
all I could hear in my spirit was it was going to be a tough year. But I was like, Lord, whatever
You don't
it
know
is,
the extent.
exactly. I
Right.
just didn't
Yeah.
know what extent it was gonna be, but I was like, Lord, whatever it is, I'm just trusting you. But from Kobe Bryant on down,
Woo.
it was like, oh, wow, wow. It was, just the roller coaster had started
Yeah.
since then,
What
and
you saying, Tyra, reminds me of the scripture, the word of God in Proverbs 3 and 5, where it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Right.
mm,
We got to trust
amen.
him and not lean on our own understanding because what's going on is truly out of our scope anyway.
It
If we
is.
really understand it, it's completely out of our scope. And we're not going to understand it. That's why to me, that's why we are overwhelmed. That's why we are stressed because in theory, we don't have control. And for people that are control freaks, that is tearing them
Yeah,
up. One,
Woo.
and then not to know the next. Like we don't know what's gonna happen. Like
Exactly,
there's something
girl.
that's plotting and planning in the spirit realm right now, and we have no clue what that is.
No clue.
And
But
you know,
all we can do is trust God and lean on His own,
That's it.
and don't lean on our own understanding.
right. I'm so glad you said that. And it makes me think of a quote. I'm not sure who said it, but we talked about it. But you cannot take anyone where you haven't been.
Mm,
Ooh,
that's
that's
true.
good.
You can't take anyone where you haven't been. So it's hard to liberate people around you when you feel
Mm.
powerless yourself. You know,
Ooh.
and I'm in that position right now. I'm trying to stay strong. There are days where I feel
Mm.
yes, I feel good. I'm full of joy.
Yeah.
I'm liberated. I feel like I'm empowered. I can change the world around me. There
Mm.
are some days I'm like, all right, I'm powerless. Like I've felt like this week has been very powerless for me. But then I'm also a reminder of, you can't take anyone where you haven't been.
That's right.
So this is where we lean on people who are wise, but then also don't lean on your understanding. You have to lean on God as well.
Yes.
It's
Amen.
very important for you to be in that space. And Felicia, you were saying it earlier about the young need the old need the young.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
together, collectively, we can be wise because I have been told what my ancestors have been through, but I haven't been through that. But we still have some that are wise that are still here with us
That's
that
right.
have been there that can take us where we need to. Now,
Right.
strategies may not be the
Exactly.
same, but with us working together, we can change those strategies. So you have to be mindful of what you preaching to people and telling them, and then you haven't been there. You can't
Hmm.
push me to get to the mountaintop and you never been there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm,
And you
mm,
still
mm,
down here in the valley.
You still down here in the valley. It's
That's
very
true.
important for you to, I need you to tell me, Santi, I've been to the mountaintop, but I didn't stay there. I came back down to get my people, but I've been there. I need you to be honest with me and tell me, listen, I ain't been to the mountaintop. Let's find somebody who has. And so
Right.
you have to be able to understand, I can't take you where where I haven't been. I don't need to take
yeah.
you to Canada and I ain't never been.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
And you said something, Santi, that I like, where you was talking about, the elders. And I was thinking of wisdom, going back to Tyra as well. And I think that's a lot that's missing in this day and age, and in this generation. We do not value our elders. We
Mm.
don't value them. Whether you have your grandmother or grandparents or not, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about the elder at the store that you passing by. I'm talking about the elder that's driving. And I have to say, I'm one of those. I'd be like, Granny need to give up the license. She don't need to be driving no more. But there's value in her though, even still, that
now,
maybe she needs to pass the license up. There's still value in her. And I think a lot of that is missing from this day and time. We do not value our elders because they've been to a place that we have not. And they've lived longer than us. They've seen much more than us. And we don't value what they have to offer because we look at them as you old, that's old school, that ain't happening right now. You don't
Yeah.
have nothing to say. When in fact, they really do have something to say. If
Hmm.
we would take the time to listen to them and hear those nuggets that they are able to drop in our lives, I
Yes.
think that could really make an impact on us. And that's why to this day, I've always liked to sit under elders. I've always liked to just talk to them. Like I have an aunt in Texas. She's sickly now. I'm not able to talk to her due to a stroke. But before she had her stroke, even up into her 90s, her and I would get on the phone talk like we was girlfriends. And my mom, my family would all laugh at me like, "What?" Because I valued my auntie. She was something special to me and still is. Anybody know how I feel about her, and I value her. I value her
Mhm.
wisdom. I remember going to her house every summer. Back then as a kid, I used to get mad at her because she was old school. So as a kid, I didn't understand. But when I became an adult, my mindset shifted. I'm like, this is a valuable woman. She's a rare ruby to me. What? I'm crazy to devalue that. That's something
Mhm.
special because she had wisdom. She had things she could share. She had nuggets she can drop in my spirit. And to this day, I hold every conversation we've had that are just close and dear to my heart. And so, if
Mhm.
anything that I can say on that to anyone that's listening, whether young or old, because there's some older people that don't value the older people. It's not just a young person thing.
Yeah.
Value the senior citizens. Value the
Mhm.
elders in your family. They do have something to offer to this world. If they have breath in their
Mhm.
body, they have something to offer to this world.
Yeah. Amen.
I like that.
That's good, Felicia.
That's good.
So, on that note, we're gonna have to end this. I'm so sorry, y'all, but I mean,
I
I
know it
know
gets so good.
it's been so
Good.
good, but we just cannot talk all night
I
long.
know.
If we could, we would. If it was this type of thing that we were doing, because some people do have all night conversations,
They
but
do. Yeah.
it's not that type of platform. So we thank the Lord for y'all coming on here to join us as we talk about staying sane in the midst of chaos. And we do want to pray that you all continue to uplift one another and pray for
Yeah.
one another, as well as ask somebody to pray for you. When you're having your own situation going on, your own circumstances. Because there's nothing wrong with telling somebody, I need help. I need you to pray for me.
Hmm.
Can you give me an extra $10 so I can go get some milk for my kids to have some to go day cereal? It's
That's
okay
right.
to ask somebody because that's the pride thing. But God is not a God that condones pride. So we're gonna have to get out of that pride and just ask people for help. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just like
Hmm.
Santi was saying earlier, it's okay to not be okay.
It sure is. That's
It's
so
okay
powerful to
to
me.
not have money. It's okay to not have gas money to get to work. It's okay. And the reason why I say that is because that's what we're here for. We're here to help one another. And during these times, while we're being focused on the protest, this is just my opinion. I feel like we need to be mindful of the next door person, the person that's next
Mm,
door to us, the person that's down the street from us,
right.
because we can't do anything about other states. I'm just gonna be honest.
That's
I
right.
can't do anything about them folks in California or Minneapolis. I can't do anything for them. I'm just gonna be honest. Besides pray for them, I know I can do that, and that's what I have been doing. I've been praying. But for people in our own community, we need to be mindful and see if anybody needs some help.
You're
Because
right.
it's, I mean, some folks out here hungry. Some people out here don't have money to pay for their lives. We're
That's so
forgetting that
true.
we still have a high rate of unemployment.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just
Even though
because stuff opened up, that didn't mean it got better.
exactly,
Right. And
exactly.
I just want to say this because it makes me think, I was talking to a friend earlier this week and I was telling her, that night before, I said it was so hard for me to pray because I really had to say, what is it that I need to pray for at this moment? It was just so much going on, and there are things that are happening around us. I was like, do I
Yeah.
need to pray for, um, you know, oppression? Do I need to pray for a next door neighbor? It's just so much.
Yeah.
And so you
Right.
find yourself kind of battling, what do I need to pray for? And it was just like, I'm gonna have this long prayer for God tonight. It's just so much going on. And I was heavy. And sometimes when you're just heavy, I just ask God to, heal our hearts, heal our souls, our minds,
Mhm.
heal the land. We need you right now.
Yeah.
And at that moment, that was just something that I just needed to say. So I think we have to really be mindful of what's happening around us, because that's not going to end. There's going to be someone
No,
who's homeless, someone's experiencing
that's
unemployment,
right.
and you're going to have to treat your neighbor better than they may treat you. I tell people that you treat people better than they treat you. It's
Mhm.
very important that you do that. So I'm glad you said that because there are going to be things happening around us.
That's right.
Exactly. Exactly. Because just like we are hurt, they are hurt too. You
Yeah.
know. But it might be a different situation that's going on of the reason of why they're hurting. But we're so caught up on what's going on in the world, and it's okay to be empathetic for what's going on around in the world, but just like we were saying earlier, that's not my capacity. I'm not gonna stretch myself further than what I can give because I just can't. I have to stay in my lane. I have to stay in my purpose of what God has given me to do.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that God will honor you for that. You still have things that you can do to help the people in your community. Uh,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know, it,
Yeah.
because I'm not knocking people protesting, but
Mm-mm.
I just have to be honest. When it comes to me, that's not on my mind
To
right
do
now.
list. That's what I
Just
say.
gonna be honest, it's not on my mind. I don't have that mentality. I don't even have the strength to even do it. So, but it's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? But there are other ways that I can help.
Right.
I'm just gonna be honest. There are other ways that we can help one another. So I do want everybody to be encouraged. Stay prayerful, stay mindful, keep in check with your emotions.
Yes.
Ooh,
Please, please do, because you are responsible for your own emotions.
that's right.
Don't
Right.
blame it on the people around you. Don't blame it on so and so, so and so. Don't blame it on this person. Nope, you can't do that.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry. You are responsible for your own emotions. So
Find
please,
you a positive outlet as well. Keyword
exactly,
positive.
exactly, exactly.
Positive outlet.
Please do. Maybe two of them.
Right.
I'm just gonna be honest. You're gonna need more than one because you might get
Yeah.
bored with one of them. So at least you'll be able to do the other one if one of them get too bored. So
That's
we
right.
hope y'all have a good evening. We thank you again for coming out here, joining in on this conversation
Yeah.
with us. Believe me, I am going to respond to all the comments. Usually, I put them up on the screen for everybody to see it, but this conversation was so good, y'all. Just
But we thank you for hanging in there with us.
Yes.
y'all have a good night, y'all.
Good
We'll see
night, everyone.
you
Bye.
next Sunday.